A dejected Jose Chille DeCastro addressed his audience Wednesday afternoon after having his ongoing California Superior Court lawsuit against Michael Blue Bacon Pierattini dismissed with prejudice and being ordered to pay Pierattini over $15,000 in sanctions stemming from the case. Without addressing the ruling by Judge H.J. Ford III, things were immediately apparent, in retrospect, that something was off about DeCastro's performance Wednesday afternoon. The YouTuber started the video in horizontal format and declared that he would no longer be using YouTube's vertical format. He disavowed the format as, while it brought tens of thousands of views to his channel, he could not properly showcase or teach from his 60-foot-long history of injustice in America in such a limited format. DeCastro said that he no longer cared about pulling in large numbers of viewers if he was limited by the format, and saw a significant drop in viewers. As he predicted, switching formats apparently meant that the live stream did not reach YouTube's live algorithm, drawing in only 112 peak concurrent viewers, 113 likes, 1,715 total views after 16 hours, and brought in $44 in Super Chat donations. At the end of the video, DeCastro said that he expected to make about $500 off of his new line of hoodies. He explained that it cost him $32 to print each hoodie. He would then sell them for $50 and would make about $18 in profit. He also announced that he would no longer sell the hoodies on his website, taking Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle payments directly from his viewers. He also explained that he needed new revenue as he could no longer afford to print up his planned line of DeleteLawz branded hats. No mention was made of his apparent non-discontinued Constitution headquarters board game, which was recently removed from presale on his website. It's unclear if DeCastro is playing up his apparent pauper status as a reaction to Wednesday's huge loss in court, though DeCastro knew that the loss was coming from the lawsuit that stemmed back to the summer of 2022. That summer, DeCastro had dethroned Glenn Serio as the most talked-about First Amendment auditor, as Serio was facing significant jail time and had to cut back his bombastic interactions with police. A cocky DeCastro stepped into Serio's shoes with live streams featuring brash interactions with police officers, weird interpretations of case law, claims that somehow being a constitutional law scholar meant he was on the level of a trained attorney, and his extended siege of Ironton, Ohio's police force. DeCastro was humiliated by YouTuber Kate Peter at a Memorial Day parade outside of Boston. The diminutive YouTuber was seen apparently purposely stopping short while Peter was walking behind him, causing Peter to run into his outstretched elbow. Attempts to have police separate him and Peter, who was actively attempting to annoy him, failed, and DeCastro would eventually have a falling out with Abrams, who said he was disturbed over DeCastro's actions against Peter. DeCastro failed multiple times to gain protective orders against Peter and Abrams, and would later sue the pair in federal court for defamation and harassment charges. He would later repurpose the lawsuit into a copyright lawsuit against the pair, including YouTube/Google as a defendant. The lawsuit dragged on, and when it was apparent that things were not going in his favor, DeCastro again sued Peter, this time in California Superior Court. He dropped Abrams as a defendant, but added YouTuber Team Skeptic, Discord user Daniel Clement, who had a physical run-in with DeCastro in the summer of 22, and Pierattini. Much like his original lawsuit against Abrams and Peter, DeCastro claimed that the defendants were part of a vast conspiracy called the Masshole Troll Mafia, which was an apparent organized crime group that was responsible for acts of vandalism, having DeCastro's vehicle stolen, and canceling his Airbnb reservations. Since filing the lawsuit in 2023, DeCastro refused to cooperate with the lawsuit and made it clear in live streams that he was extending the suit for as long as possible to drain the defendants as much money as possible. He said that he did not care if he won or lost the case, as he would continue to file the lawsuit as many times as necessary in order to get a win over defendant Peter. Unfortunately for DeCastro, it was ruled that he never properly served defendants Team Skeptic and Daniel Clement. While DeCastro convinced a court clerk to give him a default against Peter, proper service of the lawsuit was always in question with Peter, and the default has yet to result in a default judgment by the court. As DeCastro would not cooperate with the discovery process, and as he ignored the judge's orders in the California case, he tallied almost $11,000 in sanctions before the final sanctions from Judge Ford that put him over the $15,000 mark owed to Pierattini, the only active defendant in the case. In late spring of 2025, DeCastro offered to voluntarily drop his case against Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and Pierattini without prejudice, as long as Pierattini agreed to drop the demand for sanctions. Pierattini refused to do so and asked the judge to vacate DeCastro's voluntary withdrawal from the case and to dismiss the case against him with prejudice. Judge Ford would eventually allow DeCastro to drop his case against Team Skeptic and Clement without prejudice, while denying him that option to do so with the case against Pierattini. He then ruled in Pierattini's favor, dismissing the case with prejudice and awarding Pierattini $15,000 in sanctions. Around this time, DeCastro filed a new lawsuit in federal court against Josh Abrams, Dale Lackluster Hiller, and Kate Peter, with essentially rehashed his 2023 lawsuit against Abrams and Peter. None of the defendants in that case have been served as of September of 2025. Wednesday's hearing was to ratify the outcome of the earlier ruling. DeCastro apparently arrived late via conference call and was unable to prevent the ratification of the previous ruling, ultimately dismissing the cases against Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and Pierattini. It is unclear what will happen with the remaining charges against Kate Peter, as no further hearings have been added to the docket as of press time. DeCastro's pleas for new sources of revenue did nothing for his multiple GoFundMe campaigns since the ruling. Sean Paul Reyes took Thursday with $20 in new donations to his Help Me Fight These Unlawful Charges and Injustice Fund to take Thursday's crowdsourcing title. No other campaigns that we follow received donations for the day.